Namaste people, I am Anmol Sarkar. So if you have seen my introduction video, you guys must have an idea about who I am and what I am trying to do and what this channel is all about. And if you have not seen that video for Facebook, I'll share the link in the comment section, and for YouTube in the description below. So please do not forget to like and subscribe my YouTube channel as well as my Facebook page, so I can come up with more such videos for you guys. So without wasting any further time, let's get straight down to today's topic, which is the Western discourse on India's fragments. So if you have seen in last video, I was talking about how these institutions propagated this Dravidian etymological dictionary and server project through various institutions like Berkeley, Tamil Chair and FETNA. Okay, so let's start with today's topic, which is the Western discourse on Indian fragments. Fragments means the fault lines such as upper caste, lower caste, Brahmin, Dalits, Hindu, Muslims, religious fault lines, as well as sexual fault lines such as men and women. Sex means gender. Okay, so let's start with today's episode, which is Western discourse on India's fragments. For that, I'll have to show a very small chart to you guys. This is the chart here. Now if you see, there are two parts to this strategy and this chart. First is the West and second is the India. West, this is the Western nexus and how they are influencing India through the politics. Okay, now the first important agency or institution in the Western part is the government. Okay, now Western governments have within them a strong elements that harbor stereotypes of civilizational superiority. For example, if you go to US, there's children in the US citizens in their schools will be taught how America is superior to every civilization, and how about their founding fathers, and how India is a very downgraded country, a country of caste curry, cows and rapes and all these kind of stereotypes. They are always taught through the very education system only. Unfortunately, the academic and other think tanks often go along with this and reinforce stereotypes of India. Government officials also associate with evangelical religious organizations operating in India, which are seen as carrying their civilizational flag into non-Western world. Okay, so the government role can vary, including moral, political, and financial support. The US government uses USAID to channel funds through the transactional evangelist organizational such as World Vision. We shall see what World Vision is in the later part of this series. Second is the funding agencies. The funding agencies, what they do is, these are the arms lobby, the various powerful lobbies which operate, the medicine lobby or the drug mafia. These kind of people fund this fragment so that they can promote their business. If, for example, if India is in always state of conflict, it will require more arms, it will trigger more separatist movement, which will require more arms and ammunition, so their business will profit, and all this kind of politics we'll see into that later. Third is the academy. Yeah, as you know, various institutions in the West such as Yale, Harvard, I was talking about Yale, Harvard and Berkeley, all these kind of things about the Berkeley, Tamil Chair and FETNA. In India, they use our big four such as Romila Thapar, D.N. Jha, Irfan Habib and all this kind of people to propagate all the false narratives. Now other one is the churches. Now what these churches do is they try to use this NGOs and self-help groups to delay all the developmental projects in India so that it can become a breeding ground for conversion. For example, if you stop the developmental projects, there will be no jobs, and if there is no jobs, there will be poverty in that region, and when there is poverty, it will become a breeding ground for Christian missionaries for conversion by luring them into government jobs and etc. The fifth is the media. Media, as you know, the New York Times, the Washington Post, how they propagate false narratives against India. In India, Rajdeep Sardesai, Sagarika Ghosh, Barka, all these people have their links with World Vision. We shall go into this in the later part of this series. Okay. So this was the overview of this, guys. So this is how these funding agencies work through academy, through churches. Now these churches fund the church subsidiaries in India where they will promise jobs and all this kind of things. If you convert, we will give you government jobs. If you convert, we will give you 2 kg rice. If you convert, we will give you all this kind of the subsidiaries which they get. Okay. The second is the NGO. NGO means, if you see all these NGOs who are trying to, like PETA, means whenever there is a Hindu festival, they will come and add casteist angle or racist angle to this Hindu festival, and they will try to degrade Hindu festival, while in Islam and Christianity they will be silent. All this kind of hypocritical things is a large part of this strategy. So please don't fall into this, guys. So this was the overview of how this Western discourse works. In next episode we shall see how they try to deconstruct India very systematically through secular lenses and all this kind of things. Till then, enjoy this video, guys, and have a nice day.